The Stanley Park Virtual Reality kind of field trip is really a pilot project. It's like a prototype of what can we do in this area of interactive, virtual, immersive learning space.
The Stanley Park Virtual Reality field trip was developed by UBC faculty, students, and staff, and was supported by VR industry experts. We have developed a project that offers students a virtual field trip experience. We have built the capacity for similar projects in the future and developed best practices for creation of educational modules in VR.
The origin of this project comes from difficulty of people accessing field sites, whether that's through funding or through other logistics. And so we saw this as a possible entry, and we saw this in this technology maybe being able to fill a gap.
What we're trying to build here is a realistic VR field trip experience. One where you can walk through and not just admire the scenery that you're in, but to be able to interact with different kinds of elements, interact with different parts of the environment, while learning something new about the site.
With the help of units on campus like Emerging Media Lab, you can create learning experiences using these technologies. And if we are going to innovate in these fields of emerging technologies, we definitely need to be able to have that support.
Emerging Media Lab at UBC is experimentation space for faculty, staff, and students to try emerging forms of technology and media and find use cases in education and research. It was a learning process for everyone, so for staff, for students, and faculty.
There really was no guarantee that we would have produced anything of any noteworthiness when all this was said and done, because it is so experimental.
Because we are all learning the technology as we are using it, there could be experimentation and there is permission to fail.
None of us had done this before. We were reinventing the wheel a lot, we were making a lot of mistakes, and hence we ended up partnering up with Metanauts.
To be honest, I didn't expect it to be so fun to work with the students. I don't do the actual programming part of the project, but I do help out to develop some kind of a workflow or a guideline. I
really appreciated that EML brought in experts. The fact that we had that resource available to us was immensely helpful.
Probably 70 to 80% of the work done on the project has either been students creating content or writing code and creating technology.
What really surprised me was their ability to learn very quickly and to resolve most of the problems on their own.
If you needed a menu to pop up, I got the menu to actually pop up. If you needed the thing to play sound, I got it to play sound. If it was relating to programming, I probably had a hand in it.
That's been really exciting to be working and innovating with undergraduate students, being the primary drivers of project development.
The students themselves are leading this project with cutting-edge skills.
This kind of learning is invaluable. We can then turn around and do this again, but much more efficiently and much more quickly.
So that the next people who come along don't have to reinvent the wheel.
UBC's willingness in general to start experimenting with things like VR, I think it's got incredible potential for helping to visualize some of the more abstract elements of science and education in general.
One of the main deliverables of this lab is creating white papers and best practices. We compile everything at the end of each project and create a document, the best practices of doing similar project. And we pass it to other people who want to do it again in the future.
It's definitely been a fantastic experience.